Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Carpo's channel. Again, it's Saturday, September 5th, 2020. And, this video is going to particularly deal with being cool or stoic and not getting frustrated and angry. I guess I just lay that out there at the beginning because sometimes I know I ramble before I get to the point. It's somewhat of a addendum to the previous videos I did, at least in my mind. One was about having a voice and us wanting to be heard, and the other was about not taking life too seriously. And I've been thinking a lot about the middle ground when I talked about, for example, not taking life too seriously. It doesn't mean that you just float around and talk about unicorns and don't care about the world. I mean, shit, there are multiple ways to take the world. You can be frustrated and angry at the shit all the time, all the problems you have to face, and just complain all the time. And we all know somebody who complains about every checkout experience they have, everything they spill, every bad moment they have. They just focus on it. And then we have others who completely ignore anything that they might deem negative. The love and light people. And I'll be honest, several years ago, I signed off on some of my comments with love and light. Because for a period, I really thought that thinking positive and having a good attitude about everything, manifesting destiny and thinking and sending out love to everyone from my car, from my workplace, everywhere I was at, would bring me more happiness and bring, therefore, everyone else more happiness through this connection we call love. And that sounds pretty cheesy, but it's really not. I still stand by it. Every nice moment you make, every nice thing you do for someone else, or every great moment that we have where we're kind to someone, it's multiplied tenfold. I mean, every one of you, I know, remembers something somebody nice did for you, if you really think about it. Those things stand out to us. What about the gifts that you're given? Small things, even a stupid little action figure or something that somebody took the time to get for you and give you, and those things to me I cherish, things my subscribers have sent me, for example. I have this subscriber, Blaze Harmon. I don't know if you're still out there, brother, but he sent me this little box of stuff, and it had some crystals and some little wood things and a dice, and it was just a bunch of cool little stuff. And to this day, I still see those things, and I have things on display, and whenever I see something, it's the kind of stuff I'd never get rid of because I guess it's a nostalgia. And I'm getting to a point here, but the thing is, sending out love and kindness to the world and appreciating everything, the little things we do for each other, they mean a lot. Harming each other or yelling or insulting each other or berating one another, it can be painful and leave lasting scars, even in the strongest people. Some of the supposedly strongest people out there that you would think could take criticism sometimes have the thinnest skin. And I'll be brutally honest, in the past, I've had thin skin. I've also pushed people's buttons in the past, and it's something I really try not to do. I only do that when I feel like a person has a wrong perspective, but I also know that my perspective can be wrong as well, and that there's no one thing. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and then that makes me think about PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, complete fraud of an organization as far as I'm concerned. They got mad a couple of years ago and started saying we need to stop hate speech about animals and using things like killing two birds with one stone or more than one way to skin a cat because they thought it was harmful to animals. I know that sounds irrelevant, but it was an anger that came out of that group over what people say. And today we're getting angry continually over what people say. A true anger, not just a retort. And I want to make it clear there's a difference. For example, when I respond to a quip somebody makes or some tweet somewhere or a video that I comment on where it seems maybe kind of like rude or, calling people out, I only do it if I feel like their information is either damaging or false or they're a fraud or a charlatan or someone else might be harmed by this person's belief. Not if a person just believes, if people want to believe in the flat earth, let them. But if they start killing people over it, then that'll be a different story. So, back to being cool. The idea here, and the point that I'm trying to make, is that people get angry about the dumbest things. And people fight over the stupidest shit. It's fucking unbelievable how ignorant some people are. and the things that they will continually argue about. And I've caught myself in arguments about things where it's taken me up until recent years to finally be like, whoa, wait, this doesn't matter. I get mistaken for wanting to win arguments, even by family and friends and whatnot. It's not that necessarily about winning. Nobody wins. I want us all to win, is the point. I want us all to gain something, and therefore, I don't get angry about things. I just speak my mind and move on. But I find some people cannot let go. I've had people admit to me that they hang on to one bad interaction at a grocery store for days or weeks and just cannot let that thing go. If you feel slighted, if you feel like somebody's done something or wronged you, I get that. When I was younger, one of my friends robbed me, basically. I was letting him stay with me and he stole a bunch of stuff from my house. I looked for this guy for a long time. There was another guy who did the same thing, but I thought he had narked me off because one of my friends had ratted me out and I got busted with like a couple little cannabis plants when I was younger. And I was like, okay, this is getting preposterous. Somebody actually, to save his own ass, screwed me over and told the cops something that got me in trouble. And that angered me. I got frustrated and it took me years to let go. It turns out the guy I thought didn't do it anyway. But they had stolen things from me, these two friends, and totally coincidentally, actually, one of the people who stole some family heirlooms from me when I was letting him stay with me, commented on one of my, and I hadn't even thought about this till just now, commented on one of my videos just yesterday. And he said, "Oh, are you a Yankee fan because you're wearing a Yankee hat?" He didn't even recognize me. I mean, I went to school with this guy and he used to give me free weed that he'd steal from his grandpa who would import it, and he was a big dealer, and it was just weird coincidences that happen. But anyway, sorry to get so off topic. It's just a weird coincidence. But I got angry for a long time. I was pissed. I actually hunted these dudes down. I would go down to town to look and walk around because I heard this one guy was in town. And I did see him once, and he stopped in the middle of the street with his van, then he took off. But now we're friends. The first guy, him and I talk all the time. We text back and forth. And anger can be useful, but it can also damage you. If you're frustrated with somebody else, and if you feel like they've screwed you over, focusing on that is doing nothing to solve the problem. We need resolution as humans. We need forgiveness. And I know that's painful. If somebody has really abused and hurt you, forgiving them is the last thing on your mind. However, it's not for them. It's for you. It's forgiveness in your own mind. You don't even have to tell them. It's just a matter of letting things go, and that can be very complicated. So, remember that old saying, it used to be on bumper stickers a lot in the 80s, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. That can go so many ways. And I guess the biggest question I wanted to ask in this video was not just about anger itself and avoiding it, but really, when is it okay to get angry? And when should you look within and say, I'm getting angry about the wrong things? For example, I disagree with a lot of political policies, but I don't feel inner anger about it. I'm not hateful. But often when I say something bad, for example, about the president, people will say, oh, you're just hateful and you have blind hatred. I'm like, no, I'm just pointing out flaws that I see. But people feel like if somebody dislikes something, they hate it. It's very hard to acknowledge the fact that I actually have strong empathy, for example, the president. I feel bad for the guy. People be like, why? He's a total shitbag. Or he doesn't need your empathy because he's the greatest guy. It doesn't matter. And I know I wasn't even, no intention of bringing that up. And there will be somebody who will point out the fact that I did mention the president once. That's the problem we have. People are too triggered by every little thing. Everyone has something to say. But the question here is, what is worthy? What is worthy of getting angry about? Abuse? This is, to just briefly touch on this, I was talking with my wife last night, and I was saying how people are so upset that QAnon conspiracy theorists are now in government. And I was saying how, after thinking about this, I said, is this any different than people who have always been in government, who believe in eternal hellfire and damnation for anybody who doesn't worship the right God? In other words, is QAnon any different than religion? And maybe that's a harsh comparison for some. But the main point of it was, I said, at least the QAnon believers are focused on saving children regardless of whether or not these things are happening and the damage that's caused by these beliefs, at least there's a noble effort to help someone rather than to dismiss someone else or to harm someone else. And that can turn into violence, of course. I'm not supporting QAnon. I think they're absolutely insane. I think that they're nuts, but I see there's a community that wants to be heroes. They want to be part of solving these world's problems. And so, therefore, it's understandable that people will stand behind something like that if they really think they're helping people. A lot of people who are abused will stand behind things like that, but they get very angry about, say, all these child rings that supposedly are going on that they really personally have no evidence for. They're just trusting that others have the right information. So we get angry about things that people tell us, even when we haven't quite confirmed it ourselves. And that is where it gets dangerous. This is why religion in sometimes is dangerous. You know, we've been taught that my beliefs are right and yours are wrong. Therefore, I'm willing to die to prove that I'm right. I'm willing to kill you to prove that I'm right. There's something I always mention in these videos, which is the way to look at what to get angry about or frustrated about. There is limited energy. We all have limited energy, and if you're always angry, you're going to be exhausted. We have a circle of concern and a circle of influence. The circle of concern are things that bother us, but we're not quite able to deal with, and the circle of influence are the things in our local community, for example, the think globally, act locally mentality, where you do what you can for yours and your family and your friends and your community, and hope that by being a good example, you know, for others, then the world can improve. But we want it quickly. We want to make legislation. We want to stop the horrible things that are happening right now. And that makes people mad because they see so much going on that is so wrong in politics, in belief systems, in science, the corruption in the institutions, in the prison system, the drug war, all of this. When you start thinking about it, you just become totally overwhelmed. And the propaganda amongst it all just keeps us all mad. Not mad at the problems, mad at each other, pointing the finger. So, chronic anger brings stress, obviously, and stress can cause all types of problems. When we're under stress, I've been having the strangest dreams lately, like crazy for the last few months. I had a lot of apocalyptic dreams earlier at the very beginning of this year, and I was thinking back to it, and I was like, I wonder, if there's something there. Seeing what was coming, because in my mind I knew about this virus in the news, and I thought, what could happen next? But it wasn't just that. It's just the overwhelming situation that we all encounter on a daily fucking basis. We wake up, we hear about all the shit in the world. We try to ignore the bad news and move on, but it's not always easy. I found during times of stress I had more deja vu, which is a totally separate video I did about this a couple of years ago, and I want to do a new one. But I was doing all this research on deja vu and found out that it might have to do with dopamine. And I guess that's for another time because I don't want to get off subject. But dopamine also has to do with dreams, just like DMT or dimethyltryptamine, as well as melatonin and all the brain chemicals. But our brains tell us things while we're sleeping. They tell us not just about things in the world, but what we're thinking and how we're feeling. And I think that it's important to touch on that because we need to acknowledge when we are not in our best state of mind. So when I'm frustrated and angry in life, when I don't feel like my life is going well, at least in the past, I've always tended to obsess over certain things. I was in my conspiracy phase back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when I discovered all this stuff that was happening. And then I realized that most people who are fascinated with these things don't have any resolutions, don't have any solutions, don't have any intention on fixing these problems. It's just about being part of a club where you can tell other people, look, this is happening. Ooh, these bad things are happening. And that's a focus on the negative, which gets you angry again. Not for everyone. And a lot of folks will deny that it's anger because it's not anger at the subject. It's personal anger that's being taken out through pointing the finger at other people. And that's huge. It really is. So many people want to blame one group or one person or one thing for their situation and lot in life, and 90% of the time it's our own doing. But, that said, There is a legitimate gripe with the fact that many people are oppressed and held down and not allowed to operate the same as the big businesses. For example, they can, they know the corporate tax breaks. They can get around Amazon, can get around paying taxes. I mean, this is the world that we live in. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. But that anger has to be used constructively. As to what that is, I don't know. But it's different for each individual. You are not weak for not fighting back over trivial shit. If we get into dumb arguments that aren't worth our time, don't worry about losing. Walk away from a lot of these things because you only have so much energy to debate or to argue, and you should save those for things that you really stand behind. But, there's many facets to the way that we feel, and there's many facets to why we feel the way we feel. And we are mad about the system in a lot of cases, but it's not always the system's fault that we're angry. We really want, as a species, just fairness. I'm not talking about equality. I'm not going to get into this equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome crap, or this Jordan Peterson philosophy of, everybody should have equal treatment, but not everybody's going to have equal opportunity. And there's a lot of over philosophizing about it, right? It really comes down to a very basic, simple concept, which is we want fairness. We want to be treated fair, and we want to be given a voice. I mean, we tend to get mad at nature. We're mad at the way things are. And I don't mean just, when I say nature, people just picture the woods or, nature is everything. People get mad at the way the system is, not human systems, but natural systems. Let's put it this way. We're all born, and we create these lives for ourselves and spend a lot of effort to create who we are. And then we die. So you have every right to get angry about that. You have every right to be frustrated about it. But the whole idea of being angry is to overcome it and to learn to accept what is. I take it with like a Zen-like, that's not some egotistical thing. Zen is just letting shit go and laughing at the absurdity of it all. That has been the most rewarding and useful tool that I have had in my life to cope with the unknown. For real. And over the years, I question my thoughts. I think, well, I have this idea, but I don't like this idea anymore. Or I wanted to do this with my career or my life, and I don't want to do this anymore. But I have to be responsible. I have a family. I have kids. I have all these things that I need to deal with in life that I'm not dealing with. I get mad at myself. Then I get frustrated at the world. And to step back and say, all that matters is we are and we exist. The rest falls into place. It's not letting go of all our responsibilities. It's letting go of the bullshit so we can be who we need to be to find out who we are. Be well, my friends. I'll talk to you soon. Wanted to say thank you to everyone who's made this channel awesome over the years. It's harder for me to comment and respond to everybody's comments. I still read every single comment. I just have a really hard time finding a quiet space where I can voice to text to respond, and my computer's crapped out, so I haven't been answering as many comments lately, but I just want you to know I do care and I do pay attention. I know a lot of you have been frustrated with me because I talk about politics lately, and all I can say is tough shit. I mean, that's just life. What my channel is about is talking about what's on my mind at the moment, and that can be any number of things. I don't think there are perfect solutions. I don't hold any strong positions in politics or religion against or for any side. I just try to observe the world as best I can and point out the flaws as I see them according to the values I have been taught in my life, for better or worse. So thanks again to my patrons. I'll be posting a video on my Patreon page later for all y'all, because it's been a while, and I just wanted to say thank you for anybody who actually cares enough to donate. And I'm not pressuring anyone to donate. I don't like that game. I can't be sponsored by the Dollar Shave Club, obviously, nor do I want to. I'm just a guy on YouTube, but I started 10 years ago in August It's been 10 years of making YouTube videos. It's really weird because I've gone through so much in my own life, and I just love to share these experiences, but I've almost gotten to the point where I just want to step back and walk away from, social media in general. But there's a part of me that just, I know that there's a certain part of it that where my voice wants to be heard, as the voice video I said the other night. Somebody the other night, years back, I was talking with somebody, and they were saying, well, who would want to bring kids into this world, yada yada. And I said, I'm glad I have kids because at least I can teach them values and hope that it outweighs the nonsense. It's the same the bullshit in the world. The same way that when I leave a comment on a video that I know I'm going to get hate for, but I feel like it's true and honest is how I feel. I feel like there has to be at least one voice of reason in the room. And for example, it's the guy in the construction site who is working with all his buddies and somebody tells a racist joke and everybody laughs. And you find out most people laughed because they were uncomfortable. Didn't want to be the guy to say, dude, that's a fucking bad joke. I'm that guy. I'm the guy who speaks up. I'm the guy who points people out when they're standing in line and yelling at a cashier or being rude to others or yelling at their kids. I can't help but feel like I have to vocalize, because if we don't speak up, then I don't know. I guess depends on the individual. For me, I feel like I have to talk about these things. It's important to me because there's a lot of bullshit out there. Peace.